All right, here we go. We're live. It is showtime. It's noon central here in the middle of the country, and it's a beautiful place to live. I've lived in 3 time zones. No, I've lived in all 4. My family has lived in 3, and this is our favorite by far. But anyway, hey, today, and last week I had my friend Josh Wilson on, and we had a good time with it. So I said, let's keep this thing going. And who else do I want to bring on here to just jam with and jump in with and to add some value to the world? And Adam McChesney came to mind. And here we are today.
Appreciate it.
Here we are today. Let me give a really soft intro to Adam. A couple years ago, we met, we hung out, we had coffee, and it was just a really, all I can say is a really authentic conversation. And we shared what we were doing, what we were about, where we were winning. But I think the most important part for me is we shared where we were struggling and what we were trying to overcome, where our focus and attention was, and it is overcoming some of the things that were kind of getting in our way. And I think that really connected me more to you. And that's when our relationship kind of started taking off, and we stayed in each other's like wake and shadow for a little bit. But when we jump back in, man, we jump back in heavy. And I love being part of your community. You're part of my community. And it was awesome seeing you. Adam just put on a Builders of Authority live, and it was phenomenal. And I know he's going to do this. He said he's planning quarterly. I think that's a lot, but he said he's going to plan on doing this quarterly. And I want that thing to fill up, because Adam changes lives, and he helps people like have more impact in the world, create more wealth, just have more overall business success. And he does all of that from having a heart of gold. And that's what I want everybody to understand about Adam, not just where he is in the personal branding space, not just about what he does for people, but about who he is, because that's what makes him most attractive. So it's my friend Adam McChesney.
Mike, thanks for that introduction, and I appreciate you having me on here today. I still do remember when we grabbed coffee. That was 2.5 years ago. Seems like it wasn't that long ago, but it's been great getting, reconnected and obviously doing life together now in many more facets. So I'm just super appreciative to have you in my circle, to call you an ally, and to be doing life with you, man.
Yeah. So let's talk about the difference between friends and allies. Because I said friend, but an ally is somebody that you do life with. And because you're doing life with them, your life gets better. Both of your lives get better. You're not just wasting time. You're not just marking time. You're literally pouring value into each other. And as a result of you being together, it's like, I like to say 1 + 1 = 3. And I think that's really, really cool. Scott Plummer is another ally of mine. And when I was on my run this morning, I called Scott because his energy is intense. His energy is valuable. And I just like, my life is better when I connect with Scott. So anyway, listen, Adam, Builders of Authority live. And it all comes back to, for you, personal branding. Let's talk about personal branding. What does that mean to you?
So to me, I think like the easiest way to explain it is just what other people think about you when you're not in the room. A lot of people think that they don't have a personal brand, and you have a personal brand whether you know it or not. Now, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, and you're doing things to improve it and take advantage of it, or you're just kind of sitting there in the middle and not doing anything, or it's just not a good thing, that's up for, obviously interpretation. But a couple of years ago, I made the switch from medical device sales. As you know, in medical device sales, I had like one other competitor, and both of my competitors within that company, they were getting ready for retirement. They saw me when I got promoted as like, oh, that's just the young guy. He's not going to do anything. Well, I took a bunch of business away from them simply because they didn't pick up the phone and serve their clients. So I grew at $25 million a year territory here in the state of Missouri, mainly because I was good at what I was doing, and we had a really, really good product, but I didn't have to differentiate myself. I didn't have to do all the personal branding and marketing and advertising. And so I got into digital marketing in 2018 on the side. I went full-time in 2020, and I went full-time in 2020 after we bought our forever dream home in the midst of the pandemic. And so I'm sitting here, I'm like, okay, I had a really nice side hustle but now I got to turn this into a freaking business. And how am I going to turn this into a business without more customers? And so for the past almost 4 years now, I've just been posting consistently on social media, doing a lot of the things that I'm sure we'll dive in here today to separate myself from the hundreds of thousands of now options I had while growing a digital marketing company that's also now turned into Builders of Authority.
That's wonderful, man. That's wonderful. And you and I have a similar, I guess, in the Builders of Authority, in the personal branding space, because I could easily, and I shared this on the live today, kind of promoting this, but I also shared it with you just a second ago. I could probably tie back every single dollar that I've ever made in my business, Inner Wealth Global, back to my presence on social media in some way, shape, or form. And the power of social media is it's so profound, and it's so it's easy to be seen, but you get lost. And it's easy to be seen and stick out, but it's also really easy to get lost in the noise of what everybody else is doing. Can you have some insights into that? Like, how do you stick out above and beyond other people?
So I think the biggest thing that I did differently back in 2018 was I built 200 websites before I ever sold anybody anything without a result. And so I was like giving. And then when they had success, they would pay me. Now, obviously, as we all know, people are going to take. Yeah. And I learned a lot of lessons along the way. But one of my most profound lessons in that is like companies, I mainly worked with like service-based business owners. They hated working with digital marketing agencies. And the main things were, hey, we pay a bunch of money and don't get results. They cold call, they spam us all day long. They're just scumbags. You could probably say that about like any industry that's obviously out there, but like digital marketing at the time was really blowing up. So when I did take my personal branding route of things, I started to rethink the way in which I was utilizing my personal brand. And where most digital marketers show up, they pitch with like 90 to 100% of their content. And when you add them or they add you on social media, it comes with a spam DM with a cold pitch offering some guarantee that's not possible. I said, hey, I'm going to connect with the right people, but I'm going to make 80 to 90% of my content about like what I'm excited about, which is my personal life, which is the entrepreneurial journey, which is self-development, the journey I've been on, since really 2020 and continuing to do that. Thinking back to who is my ideal client? Well, my ideal client was X, Y, and Z contractor, but they were also husbands or wives. They were also, now that I'm a father, I can talk a little bit about that and my experiences. But more importantly, they were just freaking human beings.
That's right.
And so I was sticking out in a wave of hundreds of thousands of people because I wasn't jumping in and trying to pitch them, even though I believed I could help them. I was building relationships online. And then 6 to 9 months later, usually after being connected to somebody, they would reach out and we would do business together. Well, it was this trickle down effect over the last couple of years that I had built so many relationships. I had so many raving fans of referral partners and clients and people like yourself that would like tag me, send DMs and connect me to their network, that we were getting 5 to 10 leads a day of pretty warm to hot leads that were coming in, because I showed up every single day for almost 4 years and built a personal brand, not on I'm going to sell you because I can sell you, but if it makes sense, we're going to do this. And we're really good at what we do. So I continued to like peel back the onion further and further, because a lot of people ask me like, hey, Adam, what are you doing differently today than when you started? Because I'm helping people, as you know, a lot of times dip their toes in the water. Sure. And I'm like, yes, there's new platforms. Yes, reels weren't around then. So I'm adding new things. But the biggest part is just I'm showing up as who I am and not selling 90% of the time.
Yeah. When we sat down to coffee, you didn't sell anything. And then I bought from you, right? Years later. So, I mean, and I think that's I'm using this word like tongue in cheek, but that's the game is that you, and I had an ally of mine years ago. And this is when I was still kind of lost in business, right? I've been building my business for about 7 years, but there was this time right around year 3 or 4 where up to that point, it was like, what's in it for me? And when he started talking about like give them so much value that they can't say no, right? And I would that was kind of like lost on me a little bit. I'm like, at first I started my business so I could get what I wanted, but then he kind of helped me shift my mindset that if we give enough value, it will build our authority in their minds. It will build our credibility. It will. My most favorite word in this is trust. As we give more value and as we're consistent in giving that value, we also elevate the amount of trust that they have for us. And you've heard, and I've heard you say this before, people do business with people that they know, that they like, and they trust. And social media and building a personal brand can do that better than any other platform.
100%. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong because they come from this mindset. Usually people, as with anything in life, they wait until it's too late, whether it's to hire a coach, whether it's to do personal branding, whether it's to join a gym. And as you have talked about it, and it's resonated with me a lot, as they operate from like a place of desperation, survival versus, hey, we're just doing this thing. And I've gone through like peaks and seasons, but I've had to remind myself that this is all about the long game.
Yeah.
And I've seen over the course of the last couple of years and a lot of the groups that I've been is like, there have been times where I've been the most referred person and the person that everybody talks about what I do. And then times where I'm in the middle, and I wouldn't say like down on the low in the totem pole, but the people that like make quick noise have a little bit of success and then they end up ruining it all. They end up screwing people over. They end up taking advantage of people, or they never even get to that point. So they give up. Yeah. And so with all this stuff is you have to remind yourself, like, this is not an overnight success. My tagline with this is authority is built over time, not overnight. And so many people forget that in any aspect of life, and they do something, they commit to doing something for like 30 days and it doesn't reap the rewards that they're looking for. And then they say, this doesn't work. This sucks. And I've had to like come to the conclusion and working with you and being an ally of yours and the back and forth that we have, it's always a good reminder of like, man, like I've struggled of like going too fast and wanting like immediate. And you have to kind of sit back and truly enjoy the journey, because at every big like pinnacle point that I've had in business, like my whole thing in the beginning was get to 7 figures a year in our digital marketing agency. And most agencies struggle to get there in 3 to 5 years and some even 5 to 10. And so I was so focused on that. And then I got there in 15 months and I'm like, what in the world? This sucks. Like there's not much cool about that. But when we go after like little milestones, which are important, but we go after them for the wrong reasons. Yeah. We typically are so unfulfilled, and the grass is usually rarely ever greener on the other side.
Yeah. And I think I'm going to say it a different way. I'm going to say the same thing a different way. The fastest way to get anywhere you want is slowly. It's the game of patience and playing the long game. And I know I spent the first six years in my business trying to get to a level. And then last year, my business doubled. And when my business doubled, literally within 1 year, when my business doubled, guess what? It still wasn't enough. And the mind still just wanted to stretch for more, right? So your business doubles and it's still not enough, because the mind wants to want more than it wants to have. And it's never fast enough, and it's never enough. And if you succumb to that mind, that your mind and your body, I guess, that's operating from desperation, that's operating from insecurity, that's operating from like, I'm not enough and I'm trying to become somebody, you're never going to be satisfied, and you're never going to take time to appreciate the gains that you make in this world. So the long game is the game. The long game is the way there. And it's just putting in the reps every single day. But I have seen people come and go from I know my platform, my mastermind, and I've seen them come and go from your platform too, because when they see that it's a marathon, not a sprint, it kind of loses people, because they want to get somewhere fast and they want somebody else to be the reason that they got there fast instead of them putting in the reps. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's always easier to blame someone else than it is to take accountability for yourself. Right. Sure. So I think a lot of people in all these different assets, like people still that come into my ecosystem, like pretty recently, like they just look at what I've been doing and they don't take a look at the first 3.5 years. They take a look at the last 6 months.
Yeah.
and they associate that I'm doing something differently, or that I have some secret sauce, and by paying me to join my group or pay me to do whatever it is that I do for them, that they are going to get something that they just believe I'm holding back from, is just silly and stupid. The one thing that, like, the people that know me, and you've seen it, like, in our group, is a lot of people are like, Adam, what you talk about in the mastermind, and when we hire you to do one-on-one stuff and all these different things, is it's the same information that you're talking about to your free group and that you post on social media all the time. Because, like, that's where real success comes from. Information is free. You could go get the same information I tell you from YouTube or any other place that's out there. But when you pay for stuff, it's really the accountability, the implementation of it, of where you really get to the next level. And so I think, like, there's just the assumption, and I know I've had it before, where I'm like, man, I'm going to go pay to work with this coach or do this thing or buy this product or widget or service because I think there's something more that's there. Usually there's not. It comes back to, am I willing to pay even more to have them do it for me? Or am I willing to go do the work myself? And most people want the champagne, right? They want the stuff done for them, but they have the beer budget and they're not willing to go put the work in themselves in order to go do that.
Beautiful. I remember one meeting. I don't know if you remember this or not, but it stuck out to me one time in your mastermind when you were just, and Adam is just like really over the last 3 months, really starting to build the Builders of Authority. And it's a relatively new venture, but it's powerful and it's game changing for the people that are putting in the work. But I remember early on when I joined your mastermind pretty much, I don't know, I think right out of the chute. Mm-hmm. But having built a mastermind of my own and seeing the power of the container and seeing the people take accountability in the container and seeing people play victim in the container, I've seen that both sides. One of the lessons that I shared with people is like, listen, if you come into this container in our mastermind, we're going to do this activity together and we're going to hold each other accountable for doing the activity. Don't not do the activity and then blame it on my man, Adam McChesney, right? He's not the guy that's going to get you results. We're here, the group, the membership holds each other accountable. It's not just about Adam. He's going to teach us some cool stuff, but it's the power of the container and the membership and the accountability and the offline discussions and the offline encouragement and us going to each other's profile and liking and sharing and just representing. But don't blame my man Adam when you don't do the work and you don't get the results. So it's really easy to play victim when you sign up and you pay somebody to help you get results, right? In terms of results that you need to do the action to get the results. The teacher isn't going to save you.
Yeah. Well, and that's where, like, I've learned a lot just about being on the other side of running this group and coaching people now in a deeper facet. And, like, I've been coaching people and doing this stuff from a distance for a very long period of time. And less than 1% of people probably ever took what I actually said and followed it to a T. But those that did freaking had incredible results. And so that's really where Builders of Authority came from and why it's my full-time thing now, because I love the impact of the ripple effect of what this stuff can do for an individual, but more importantly, everybody that is close to that individual. And we'll never know, like, the true impact of that ripple effect. But it got to a point where I was giving so much away and not realizing it. Like, people are asking me questions. Hey, Adam, how are you doing this? I see you tagged everywhere, all these things. Like, what did you do? And I would just, like, stop what I was doing, be like, oh, hey, here's what I did. Because I was so passionate and fueled up about it. And then finally, like, it was an aha moment of like, man, I need to make this into something. But of course, when you make it into something, you have more people than ever before that are interested, and you start to have to carve out and understand, set boundaries, figure out who your new ideal client is. Because when you're giving away information for free and probably over delivering on that, you're attracting a lot of the wrong people to begin with. And so I'm sitting here freaking so excited. And I've been brought back down to earth many times in this 3 to 4 month journey. But I think ultimately it comes back to just like what most people struggle with. When people end up leaving my group or your group or any other group out there, they're also lacking in multiple other areas of their life. And so that's why I'm always interested when people are like, hey, I'm, canceling, or I'm doing whatever, or I want more, or I need more. Okay, great. Are you looking to level up? Well, no, I want to continue paying you, but I want to get more of you and all these different things. It's because there's 3 or 4 other things that they're not doing, or they're not following what I'm teaching to begin with. And they're looking for some extra outside like help. And that's where I think, until I really started working with you and getting connected with you, is like the old Adam, before I read that No More Mr. Nice Guy book as well, incredible book recommendation you gave me, is I would have just stopped what I was doing and figure out how I can serve them, thinking that my world was going to end if I had one person that failed. And I think that's where a lot of people struggle, as well as they're working with business owners and coaching and consulting, or whatever that realm of life is like, I was taking those things personally, again, like I did in the very beginning of running my agency. But it's like, you can't, I'm going to forget how you phrase it, but like, I can't carry somebody else's burden and let that impact myself because they're not willing to go put it and do the work.
100%. So I'm going to, hey, Scott, Tyler, Brad, thanks for commenting. Tell us what's connecting, what's not connecting, ask questions. I want this to be interactive, not just a dialogue. But tell us tell us how we can help and serve more, and unpack some of this stuff. So Adam, for me, in my small business, and we're getting off the personal branding piece, but I think this is important because we're doing personal branding and personal authority development so that we can build a business and so that we can impact more people around the world, right? So that we can impact in a bigger way. And we also, in the process, we take care of our families, and my kids go to college, and I bought them cars, and all this stuff is so that we can, for win-win. But what I'm hearing, and I know I've been on the same side as you. What I'm hearing is that, I'm just going to express this as a concept. My business really took off and really doubled when I stopped worrying about other. It sounds cold and callous, guys, but really take this for what it's worth. It's an act of love. My small business really took off when I stopped worrying about people's feelings, their failures, and their finances. I can't worry about saying the wrong thing and pissing people off when it's my truth. I can't worry about the people that fail because they're not doing the work. I can't worry about the people that don't have the money when the transformation really happens in the container. So, and let me take that last piece, let me take it to another level. You've got a free group. I have a free group. We teach a lot. We give a lot. We serve. We're constantly giving value. We're constantly adding value. And some people are like, oh, it's awesome. I've got this free platform, and I'll just keep taking from this platform, and I'll keep taking the free. But it's the implementation in the group, and with the group accountability, that's where transformation happens. The learning can happen in the free container, but the transformation happens with the group. But it takes personal accountability, personal responsibility. It takes personal ownership and action, and actually doing something with the learning. That happens within the container, and the teacher can't make you take action. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, I agree with all of that. I think like my event was also a really good realization for me of the information I give out, and being able to bring in a bunch of people that were attendees as well as those speakers. And I think I mentioned it on one of our mastermind calls, of like, people here in St. Louis were literally like, Adam, I didn't know you had such a large, impactful network outside of St. Louis. I'm like, no, that's where most of my network has been. Now I'm starting to do more here in St. Louis and bring it back to the core. But if you were to be in that room and even pay the $295 for that ticket, like if you were to go consult or have calls with any of those people, or go to any one of their events that they've thrown, like it would be in the thousands and thousands of dollars for just like one of those people.
Right.
Not to mention what I was able to bring, but there was a lot of people that were like, hey, I can't afford this, or I don't want to do this. Like, I love your free trainings. It's like, okay, great. But at some point you are going to have to take that leap. And this is a roundabout way to take your answer. This is a aspect that you're going to have to take the leap at some point and bet on yourself.
Yeah.
You can't just do free all day long. And the more you want to level up and the quicker, right? So there's usually a gap. You want to do something super quick and not, as we mentioned, like this stuff does take time, but there's always a way to do something quicker. Now, is quicker always better? Usually not always, but it comes at a price. Most people don't want to pay the price, whether it's an actual price tag or it's them just buckling down and actually doing the work. So people struggle, right? They see all the free information, but what do? They take in the free information from 15 different people and they implement none of it, but they're always there on the calls. They're always commenting, they're always supporting, which helps you and I because it drives engagement. But I used to want so much for those people and be like, I can help them, but I can't help them if they can't help themselves.
If they won't help themselves, it's not that they can't. There's a big difference between can't and won't. And I want to talk about, the financial part too, because there's people who say they can't pay when it's really they won't pay. They won't invest in themselves. It's not that they can't, but it's just not a priority for them, right? They have it, they just won't spend it, and they want all the free stuff, and they think they're going to get some traction with the free stuff. Now, I have seen people digest free content. I have seen people build businesses on YouTube University, but it's a rarity. It's not something that everyone, like that person was really meant to do life and business themselves, and they were really good at that. But not everybody is capable of that. And it's really doubling down on yourself, investing in yourself, realizing you're an investable asset, going into the container, learning what you need and applying it. But that last piece is critical. If you don't apply it, it's not going to work. It's the application that gets the results, not the leader. The application of the teachings from the leader get the results, not the leader themselves. You can surround yourself. You can be in so many people's groups, masterminds, workshops, seminars. But if you don't take the steps that they're teaching, you're not going to get any results. And it's easy to blame people for you not getting results when you're not doing anything different with the information you have.
Yeah, well, I was talking with somebody this morning that wanted to join our group, and I've seen him in all the other groups and in the paid version. And I know he spent some money, and he was asking me, he's like, hey, Adam, like I've been in all these different groups. They didn't work for me. Like, I think your group might be that group. And so like we've started, and we're going to announce some updates about our group and just how we're changing and providing more value and doing different things. We've increased our pricing, which we needed to do as well. But really doing a better job on like the vetting of members. So I'm starting to ask him questions. I'm like, let's hop on a call. We hop on a call. And it was like, he was assuming that because those other groups didn't work, that like mine was going to be that one, because he knows me more than he knows the other people running those other groups. Now there could be some crazy truth to that, but I was like, dude, you don't need what we're doing here. You need to go apply the information of what you've gotten from all the other 6 groups you've joined over the last couple of years, because you're now saying those groups aren't working, that they're a failure. I don't want my group to be number 7 and for you to go tell the next, person you're going to join the group. And so I think that's just an aspect where like people are always chasing the shiny object. They're always chasing the next thing. They're always chasing what they believe they need in order to get to the next level, when a lot of times it's literally sitting right in front of them.
Awesome. And Tyler says it's true. You can't, it's true. You can't work with somebody. I'm just going to fill in some words here. It's true. You can't work with somebody that doesn't want help or doesn't want to help themselves. Absolutely true. Listen, Gregory said he tried to meet you, and you don't waste your time. He still wants to meet you. So I don't know who that is. There's a Gregory Hall in the world that just wants some of Adam's time, and see, maybe there's an opportunity there. But hey, listen, we can't be all things to all people all the time, and that's the I think let's take it back to personal branding for a second. We because we've built these containers, we've built these masterminds. Adam does awesome job with Builders of Authority Live. Had a great time there, and there was a lineup of speakers that from every facet of business that really helped give you different mindsets and perspectives about how to build your business and how to continue to level up in your business. And again, going back to, if you don't apply these things, you're not going to get any results. But the personal branding aspect, it's really about being seen and being known. And I want. This is kind of in response to Gregory Hall's comment, but maybe a little tangential. I love that word. I had a gal one time say, "Hey, I'm coming to your workshop. It's going to be great to get to meet you and get to know you." And I said, "Are you coming for results, or are you coming to get to know me?" Because they're very much different. Like, my workshop's not where you come to get to know me, and by working with me, it's not where you get to know me. We're not gonna have like this private relationship where we're gonna understand each other's like deepest, darkest secrets. You're coming to learn something from me. You're not coming to be my friend. I've got plenty of those friends and allies in the world. So there is this element that we're building this authority, and we're building this presence in the world, but we're building it so that and letting people get to know us through social media so that we can serve them. So can you speak to that about the serving people without like going whole hog in and losing yourself in the process?
Yeah, absolutely. And I made a longer post this morning, but I talked about like where we really grew in our business. And you kind of alluded to it earlier, is you doubled in business last year, and you did it from an aspect of like, I'm going to let go of all the other attachments and the things that were holding you back. When we did in 2021, which was our first full year in business, we did $750,000 in revenue, and it was like all Adam. Adam did all of the sales. He did all the onboarding. He did a lot of the account management. And then I started at the end of 2021. That's when I brought on an integrator. That's when I hired 2 account managers. That's when I, at that point had started to join Height and all those things. So I started to relinquish some of the stuff that was like holding me back from doing what I knew I was capable of doing. And then we grew an additional $1 million in 2022. But people still kept coming in and doing business with us because of our reputation and my reputation. But I was no longer the person that they saw every single time. We added a sales rep. We added 3 more account managers. They were getting served at an incredibly better level than anything that was happening before. But there is some of that, whether you would call it buyer's remorse or any aspect, where they're like, oh, I thought I was going to get to hang out with Adam all the time because we're paying a bunch of money. It's like, did you want the results in the digital marketing, or did you want to see me? And as silly as that sounds, there were people that just wanted to see me, or to be able to say that they were working with me, to be able to get the knowledge from me. And that was like an aha moment even back then, is like, I have to separate the two things, Adam McChesney as the personal brand and also the business, even further. But there is going to be a time and place where I can go and do my own container and my own bucket, because people just see value in that. They want to support me on the other side, but they really want this other thing. And so there is that fine line of being like, hey, am I setting the wrong expectations? Am I not telling people? And I would go back to sales calls and go back to conversations, and I'm like, hey, at no point did I ever say any of this. And in fact, I said, hey, if you need me and you contact me, the world must be ending, because I have a bunch of other people that can help you way quicker and stronger. But I said this, and this was like a huge changing point. It also helped weed out a bunch of the clients that would have been massive headaches, because we were charging more than we had ever charged before. And we started to get more of our premier ideal clients in 2022. But I said, if at any point you're like, hey, Adam, I just want to talk to you, just send me that text message, send me that Facebook message. It might not be right away, but we can schedule some time. And there were people that did that. They're like, hey, Adam. But before, they would turn it as if, hey, this is a digital marketing or height focused thing and all these different things. And I'd be like, man, I'm hopping on the call with you, and you literally just wanted to tell me about what's going on in your world. I appreciate that you trust me for that, but that's not what you're paying us to do. I'm more than happy to do it. But I think people get this mixed view of what they're getting, not because they were told any different, but because of they assume that their exchange of money they put this dollar amount on that and they want more than they're actually getting. And usually what they want more of is me and you.
And what I was just sitting down having a cup of coffee with my my beautiful bride upstairs, and I basically said to her, I was like, when I was out on my run today, I came to a realization: your price protects your energy. Your price protects your energy. So like, and I'll say I have a few one-on-one coaching clients, and they pay me extraordinarily more. And I have people in my mastermind, and they don't pay. They probably pay 20% of what that the higher level person or the higher category pays. And I'm more than willing to have them opt up into that higher level. But there's a different energy, there's a different vibe, there's a different relationship, there's a different connection at that premium placed in the mastermind, and you get more of me, and it's going to be a whole lot easier. I completely didn't understand this from the get-go. At that premium price point, they're easy conversations. They're easy relationships. They're easy conversations. They're very low maintenance. They're very high value. Those people at that level, at the premium level, don't want a lot of you. They just want their problem solved. They just want you to help them solve their problem. The people at the lower typically tend to put their results on our shoulders and expect us to solve their problems. And then they just want more and more of our time. And they don't want their problems solved. They want our time instead of their problem solved. People at the higher level, they want their problem solved. And even if it takes 5 minutes, they don't care. A $5,000 investment, whether it's 5 minutes or whether it's 5 hours, they don't care. They just want their problem solved. So your price protects your energy. And to get into a one-on-one container with us, it's going to cost a lot more, 100%. But even in a lower level container, the problem that we solve is still solvable in the lower level container. It's just not going to look the same.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing that I had to come to the realization to as well, because there wasn't a large gap, as you know, between our mastermind and my one-on-one time. And we just increased that again and had a different ticket, a setup fee of sorts to be able to get into that one-to-one, because we realized like how much time and energy I'm going in and putting in. It's not just the 2 30-minute calls people get with me when they're working one-on-one or I'm working with their company. It's all the hours behind the scenes that I'm doing to prepare. Sure. So that way I can show up and knock this thing out of the park and make the biggest impact. And we're always over delivering, even though we might not think that we always are, but people like ourselves usually typically do it at a very, very high level. And I had to have that realization recently where I'm like, I'm getting more interest, which is great, but I need, in order for me to protect that energy, raise that price to where I'm not like having to go think about like, how do we increase pricing over here and all these other things. And that's a lesson I think a lot of people struggle with. I mean, I knew this was going to come. I also had outside factors, as you know, where I didn't know it was going to switch over this quickly. But going back, I think a lot of people are just like, I want the members, I want the stuff, which is what I wanted to be able to build the community. But there's nothing more valuable than our time.
Sure.
Don't do yourself a disservice, which I have done, and I'm sure you've done at times as well.
Absolutely have.
But learn the lesson quickly, like, and be proactive in communicating it and all those things. And I think that's where I've done a much better job this time, 3 to 4 months in, of not feeling sorry, of being like, hey, I got to cut this off, or I got to raise the price, or I got to do this, because I can always go find more money, can always go make more money. I can't make more time.
And we have families too. You've got a beautiful wife and a beautiful child, and I have a beautiful wife and 2 kids in college. We have lives, and we have a quality of life that we're trying to maintain as well. And I don't want to make this all about just us and our quality of life, but it's literally about designing and creating a container, because we're doing this personal branding stuff for a reason. It's to build the value that we give in the world, to create more impact in the world in containers that serve at the appropriate value level. Now, I'm going to address a couple comments here, but the way I see this is when I look at my business, they can come in, they can either walk, they can run, or they can fly. And what that means, like, I can correlate that to, they're either going to do it by themselves, they're going to do it with others, or they're going to do it with me. If they do it by themselves, they're going to walk. If they do it with a group, they're gonna run. And if they do it with me, they're going to fly. And those are priced differently. And those containers, the requirements, time, our the effort we put into designing courses and designing the standalone, putting the community, the right people together, those have an associated cost. And it comes back to, we have a quality of life that we're preserving and we're building too. We're not just in the game to make everybody else's life better. We're in the game to make their life better, and in turn our lives get better too. Couple comments. Tyler said, what released content might hurt your personal brand or business brand more than help? Can you answer that, Adam?
I think so. I was at a conference last Friday and somebody asked a very similar question. I think if you have to ask that question about a specific piece of content, usually I would recommend not posting it. So they were throwing out like the political stuff and all the crazy controversial stuff. And there's a time and place for controversy of like what's more important, I don't know, like health or money, whatever that might be, like stuff that people are going to have constructive, really good conversations about. Those are totally fine and recommended. You're going to get more engagement and reach with that. But if you're thinking about individualized specific pieces of content and you're having to ask yourself that question, I normally tell you to put it to the side. But I think as far as the overall aspect is, in my opinion, now, most of the questions people ask me are like, hey, Adam, how open should I be about my personal life? Like, I don't want people knowing about my kids, my family, etc. I just tell them, hey, if you continue doing what you're doing right now, people are always going to wonder what that other aspect of your life is about.
Right.
And if they get to know you, and it might be that they don't connect with you personally, that's great, because that weeds out what is a potential bad client. You're either going to be holding yourself back from some of those more ideal clients because you're not opening up about some things, whether that's business or personal, or you're going to be not opening up about those things and still attracting some of the clients that you don't vibe with. And so I find it on both ends of the spectrum to be just not serving you and serving others.
I love that. And I'm going to answer that in the Mike Kitco way, is the more real you are, the more the perfect client you're going to attract. So if you hide parts of your life away, you're gonna attract people that hide parts of their lives away as well. So you're going to attract, and this really is a client attraction dynamic, a client attraction thing that we're talking about with personal branding. Your ideal client is watching you. So if I've got a friend that is highly political. He's an ally. He is highly political, and he is highly polarizing because he's looking to attract highly polarizing people into his life. Because what he does, the highly polarizing stuff gets the most attention, and that's what he's after. So if he wasn't polarizing, he wouldn't attract people that were highly polarizing, and that wouldn't serve his business needs, right? So by being ourselves, we attract the people that are perfect for us to work with. So I do share about my wife, and my wife was just in a hospital yesterday, and I shared that, but I didn't share it up front. Hey, by the way, the sky's falling. After she was okay, I took a picture and put it in there. Hey, all checks good. Just letting you know, letting you guys know that we deal with medical issues too, just like you. That like money doesn't make the medical issues go away all the time, right? So the point is the more real you show yourself, the more real your clients are going to show up, and then you get to work with the most perfect people. Lee, tangential really is a word, and I love that word. It means like just kind of touching a topic and like. Lorna says, set expectations at the beginning. Here's what I've learned from setting expectations with clients, Lorna, is that when you're very, very clear up front with the commitment and the reality of what the agreement looks like, the more you can serve in that capacity in the middle, and the easier it is to exit from the end of that capacity. How you enter an agreement determines how you show up in it and how you eventually exit. So it's beautiful. Lee, all we're trying to do is be of value here. So thanks for watching. So she said, Lee said, it's so helpful to those of you just starting to build these systems. I think The only thing I can tell you is that I've given up a lot of my personal time because I felt like a martyr instead of a servant. I felt like I owed people my life and my quality of life, and all I owed them was to serve them in the container that they purchased into. That's it. So, and personal branding just helps us attract the right people, so that we can take the right people and put them in the right place where, for the value that they're willing to provide and invest in themselves, we can serve them at that level. I didn't leave you a question there, but anything to add to any of that?
I would just say is, like, when you talked about like the martyr part of that, is when you hold back or you give in to that, you're really, as you mentioned, not doing service to that person. Like what you told me before, I have this really freaking bad habit of the most simple stuff. If I accidentally like send a wrong link or something goes on, or my camera was screwed up before this because I was just doing YouTube videos, I was like, I'm sorry, Mike. And he's like, dude, cut that shit out. He's like, before it's all said and done, you will stop doing that. But you're one of the first people, and you told me a similar thing at the day after the Builders of Authority Live. You're one of the first people in my life that has been like, Adam, stop. Like, understand what you're doing. And so often, and I've been guilty of not telling somebody on the other end at times what they needed to hear, not what they wanted to hear, but what they needed to hear, where you're like, dude, cut the shit out. You are who you are. You're doing incredible things. Own it, live it, be it.
Absolutely.
Right. And so when you're sitting there and you're in a group of people and you're in all those different aspects, and that's what I just love about you and your energy, is you're like, hey, let's get the elephant of the room out here. This is the third time you've complained about this recently. Have you, like, whatever the situation might be. And that's where most coaches and masterminds go wrong, is they just want to keep collecting your money. They want to keep doing the things. They will go a little bit above and beyond here and there, but they're not doing a full service to you by just allowing you to scrape by. Right.
Sure.
And that's one of the biggest differentiations, I think, about like where real transformation happens. It's not fun to hear those things, but when you hear it, it definitely changes the way you think and act. And that's usually what you need in order to get to that next level.
Yeah. So, and let me unpack that a little bit. There was a time, and we're working through, and I work through it with many people. For whatever reason, we live in a society where we need, it's almost like a self-rejective society where we can't, just show up. But there's a lot of people, pay attention, that they lead off their sentences with, I'm sorry. Even like there's people that, I'm sorry, I have to use the bathroom again. You've got to use the bathroom. What are you fucking sorry about? That makes no sense. Yeah. Hey, I took a wrong turn. I'm sorry. What are you sorry about? Like, humans make mistakes. Why are you apologizing for being human? Like, we all make mistakes. Hold yourself to a higher standard, that it's okay to make a mistake and still be okay with yourself. So, guys, this is, and the thing, let's go back to, we're building this personal branding. All right. I want to keep bringing it back to this. People in the world are looking for people to look up to. People in this world are looking for role models. They're looking for leaders. They're looking for people to aspire and to hitch their wagons to learn from, to celebrate, to be celebrated by, to admire, and to be admired by. People are looking for role models. In the personal branding space, we are literally putting our lives in the media, in the spotlight, in the public presence, saying, I have something valuable to share, and it doesn't make me better than you. It just makes me someone who wants to make your life better. And at the same time, you're going to help me make my life better, and we get to be shameless in that. But I am not perfect because I'm in the public spotlight. I am not like, I'm not more important because I'm in the in the public spotlight. I am just willing to put myself in the public spotlight to help make a difference, and in return, my family's quality of life improves. Also, this is why when me and my wife travel, we always show pictures of where we're going and what we're traveling. When I buy my wife, Louboutin boots, $1,300 Louboutins, we're going to show that shit off because I want my ideal clients to see what their investment in me is doing. It's actually increasing our quality of life. And it's improving our quality of life. And I never want to hide the fact that we do business, not just to make an impact, but for our quality of life to improve as well. Can you share anything about that?
When I haven't shared those things, I've attracted the wrong people.
The more real we are, the better client we attract.
When I first got into business, finances is not my strong suit. Operations is not my strong suit. I'm the visionary, the business development, sales and marketing, but all the different aspects of when I was growing my business and making, more money than I had made in my agency ever before, like I almost felt some type of like, I don't know if it was like regret or sorry for other people of like, man, I'm signing up this other client and we're already making a bunch of money and they said they need a discount. Like, should I offer them a discount? Because we're already doing really good. That's where my mind started to go because I thought there was a direct association with all of that stuff. And I did it at times. And that's all that ended up coming from that was the wrong clients that ended up being huge headaches and people that I ultimately didn't actually connect and vibe with. The more that I've been open about like the shit I'm going through and what I do, the more I've realized I've attracted the right people because they're like, hell yeah, you're winning. You're taking your family on vacation. You're doing these things. I want to do life with that person. And I think we almost feel guilty at times because we do have success and we are sometimes working with people that aren't having success. Right. And so I've had to basically change my train of thought, retrain my brain to be like, hey, when I'm good and when I'm at my best and my family's at their best and my core group of people are at their best, I am serving and providing more impact and results for my clients at a way higher level and way more impactful level. The ripple effect of that, it might not be immediate. So I might be winning and continuing to go and do all these different things, but it might take longer for them to do it for one reason or another. I can't directly look at that as, hey, I'm winning, making a bunch of money, doing all this cool stuff, and they're grinding or doing whatever. I can't look at that as, oh, hey, now I have to go down to their level to bring them up with me. I have to say it as, hey, I'm going to continue to do this. They're at some point going to reach where I'm at, and we're going to be at that same level and ascend together. That was like the biggest aha moment for me. And if it doesn't work out, great. But I'm not going to go and try to save every freaking body on the way up climbing the mountain.
I love that. And look, I'm from Baltimore. So what just happened to the Francis Scott Key Bridge is really near and dear to me. And it just hit my, it hit my heart. So those are my people back there. And me and my dad used to that bridge. But what you just said, Adam, I'm going to frame it in a little cheeky quote. It's you make more of an impact being a lighthouse than a tugboat. A tugboat can only pull one boat. A lighthouse keeps a lot of boats safe. So when we dim our light, when we just try to pull somebody through life instead of shining the light, we're really underserving the greater good and the number of people that we can impact. Scott Plummer said, "Don't forget about our conversation this morning so far." So I asked Scott, I said, "Hey, how's your day going?" And he said, "Good so far." And I said, "Are you planning for it to go shitty?" like what are you doing? He's like, well, it's kind of like just a saying that I always say so far, like, well, cut that shit out because your mind's listening and it's saying, okay, we're going to fuck this up at some point. So let's stop saying so far. My day is awesome. Tyler said, last question. And then we're going to start to wrap this thing up. Tyler said, I'm like you, Adam, not the best guy either. What do you do about that?
Hire the right people. That's like the biggest thing is like, for a very long period of time, I tried to do it all myself because I was like, I want more money. I want more profits. I want more of those things. And anytime I hired for that out, whether it would be an employee in the company or an outsourced, service, for example, like bookkeeping or whatever it might be, they were able to do it in a fraction amount of the time. And my hourly rate, which I would calculate that if you don't have one, you're going to find a bunch of tasks that you're doing that could either be done by somebody else already in your company, a virtual assistant, a new hire, or an outsourced company. And you're going to be able to focus on your zone of genius. And so the simple answer is just to, either automate it or delegate it or delete it, right? Maybe you just don't need to be doing it, but I'm assuming we're talking something about here that needs to be done.
Yeah. And look, Lorna was just on the in the comments. We talked about her. That's admin, or that's Adam's admin executive assistant. She's awesome. She's powerful, and she fills in the blanks where Adam might be light, where might be, short, or where, where he needs to turn his attention somewhere else. Lorna is amazing and helps create something. Again, allies, 1 + 1 = 3, right? When you get the right people in your corner, then you're all better together. We've got 4 people in our business, and we each have a lane, and we each love our lane, and we each don't want to do the other person's lane. So we get to divide and conquer, and it creates exponential results. So we're going to bring this thing to a close. Adam, where can they find you? Where can they connect with you? How can you help them? Like, give everyone a way to really connect and to take advantage of the personal branding expertise you bring to the table.
Yeah. So on Facebook specifically, you can join our free Builders of Authority group if you're not in there already. So just type in Builders of Authority. We have daily content that goes out. We have live weekly trainings that happens every single Tuesday at 3:00 Central. So that's a good place to get started. You can connect with me on Facebook as well. If you're watching this live and want some more information on Builders of Authority, just shoot me a message, send me a DM. We can get a call set up. You can also go to buildauthority.co and you can learn a little bit more about some of the different offers that we do have available. Doing a lot of different stuff between the event, between really adding more value into those offers. We recently just increased pricing, but the way in which we help individuals. So whether you're an entrepreneur, we're also starting to work with a lot of sales reps as well, is if you are frustrated where your inflow or lead flow of new business is at, and you're looking to take advantage of something that doesn't cost a whole lot of money, that's organic social media, and you want to become the authority in your industry for what you do. You want to be the guy or the gal that's referred anytime somebody in that other person's network is looking for what you do. Let's have a conversation. We can absolutely help you and get you on a path, but you have to be willing to do the work.
Amen. Amen. And listen, the more we put ourselves out in the world, the more we put the real version of ourselves out in the world. Like in the St. Louis area, in the real estate space, in the real estate investor space, like I'm known as the mindset guy who throws the F-bomb around a lot. So they know who I am. So that's what they're getting, because if I ever didn't do that, then they wouldn't be getting the true essence. Then when they got in my container, they'd be like, they'd be triggered all the time. This is about building your personal brand, your personal authority, building a representation of you in the world, so they really know who you are in their minds. And when they need that problem solved, they think of you first and foremost. Am I missing anything, Adam?
That was a great way to wrap it up.
Awesome. Guys, listen, jump into Adam's group, Builders of Authority. He's got a free Facebook group. That's where you can get started. He also has a mastermind. I'm part of that mastermind. I have a free Facebook group called Business Freedom Academy. We do stuff like this regularly. We're just getting that off the road. So join forces with us. Let's create some more wealth, some more success, some more freedom, some more happiness. Let's create more impact, and let's really take advantage of what this life has to offer. And all you got to do is look for somebody who has what you want, hit your wagons, and they'll teach you how to get it. Thanks, everybody.